so I'm not an authority on Gandhi, so heckle me or correct me if I'm wrong. Mohandas Gandhi was born today in 1869 in the coastal town outside of Bombay, India.
Personal? रोटी जैसी चीज़ खाने हैं। संजी लाल जी को कहाँ पर है?
Came back to the Bombay area to try and set up a law practice there, but he came into trouble and instead accepted an offer to go to an Indian law firm in South Africa, Johannesburg. And there in South Africa, he came across a lot of the sort of apartheid segregationist laws that were going on there even while South Africa was still a British colony, and the Indian expatriates that were there were you know, third-class citizens like the native blacks at the time, and so that was where his sort of organizing and protests really started to take shape. He started to organize the Indian population that was there in South Africa at the time, and they practiced nonviolent protests against the British government that was there in South Africa when it came to voting rights. And you know, there's the classic story with Gandhi. It's in the movie with Ben Kingsley where he's in the train in South Africa, and he has a first-class ticket, you know, a valid first-class ticket, and he gets forcibly kicked out of his seat, and so he became very quickly known and a very powerful political entity soon enough, where he was imprisoned, and the public outcry allowed he and his constituents to kind of make compromises with the British government, and you know, his nonviolent philosophies and practices kind of started to take shape. And after that, he moved back to the Bombay area, and it was there where he really started to, you know, look for ways to engage India and possibly break from the British altogether there. And so it was there that he really started to develop these ideas of truth. I don't remember the Indian word for it, but it was basically staying constantly challenging yourself with experiments and discipline and all these, you know, very central concepts to how you treat yourself and how you engage other people. And, you know, he lived in the commune for a long time and treated himself as he treated everybody else. He did the same amount of work. He engaged in all the hard work that had to be done, and he gained a lot of respect for that very quickly. And with his law background, he really started to become a central leader in the 1930s. In the 19-teens, he was in India and, you know, had come up with, you know, a lot of strong protests and actions that challenged the caste system. He worked very hard to bring the untouchables, as they were known, to have more civil rights, to not be cast out of the rest of Indian society. And along with that, he promoted vegetarianism. He promoted, you know, being accountable to yourself and to others. And soon enough, he was working with the National Congress of the day in India, and they were making huge inroads against the British Empire. They launched enormous nonviolent protests in the streets of India in the 1930s and 40s, And soon enough, as we all know, India gained independence, and thanks to lots of sacrifices on the part of Indians and Gandhi himself, when it came to hunger strikes and other large-scale protests, many people died. Hundreds of thousands were injured by police, and you know, all that hard work and injustice ended up coming through. And you know, we've all heard the sort of famous lines, those tidbits from Gandhi, like an eye for an eye makes the world blind. But I found this quote on his Wikipedia page. In 1946, he was interviewed in the aftermath of World War II. A journalist asked him about it, and he said, "Hitler killed 5 million Jews. It is the greatest crime of our time. But the Jews should have offered themselves to the butcher's knife. They should have thrown themselves into the sea from cliffs. It would have aroused the world and the people of Germany. As it is, they succumbed anyway in their millions." So I was very taken aback by this, because this is a very, you know, obviously we're all well aware of the history of World War II and how many historical implications it still has to this day. And I thought it was a really interesting context to put Gandhi's philosophies in words, how he treated even the largest humanitarian tragedies of the past, you know, 60 or 70 years. And I thought that was a cool thought. So there you have it for Gandhi's legacy. Thanks.